Hello friends, welcome to this session of research methodology. This is third session of our discussion on experiments, and in previous sessions we have studied introduction to concept of experiment, then definition of experiment, significance of experiments we studied, concept of controls we understood there, experiment in context of scientific method, confounding variables we studied in first session. In second session of experiment, we studied philosophy of experiments. This is very essential to uh, do high quality experiments, because if you understand philosophy, then you will design your experiments very carefully. Ibn al-Haytham and Francis Bacon were the stalwarts, and others were also there who were responsible for development of philosophy of experiment. And in second session we studied all those things. In third session we are going to study about different types of experiment and details of those different types of experiments. Experiments can be classified as true experiment and natural experiment. Natural experiment is also called as quasi experiment. In a true experiment, two variables are there, two categories of variables are there. One category is independent variable, which are manipulated by the experiment, and the other variable is called as dependent variable, which is actually measured. The dependent variable is also called as outcome variable or response variable, and variation in the dependent variable or variation in the outcome variable is dependent on the independent variable, or independent variable is responsible for the outcome or dependent variable. The signifying characteristics of a true experiment is that in true experiment, random allocation of subjects to neutralize experimental bias is there. Sometimes carrying out the experiment, experimenter may give uh, some slightly different levels of treatment to a group, different level of treatment to other group. That slight experimental bias can be removed if random allocation is there. And replication is also required. Various iterations of the experiment are required. Under exact same condition, those replications are carried out. These replications will counter for the confounding variables. Confounding variables are the variables which are not intended to be studied in the experiment, which are not considered as independent variable, and variations in those shall not cause variations in the dependent variable. Therefore, to counter for variations caused by compounding variable, replications are necessary. And to counter bias caused by experimenter, the randomization or random allocation of subjects to treatments is necessary. Now we will see about the controlled experiments. In controlled experiments, two groups are there. A control group is there and a treatment group is there. And these two groups are practically identical. Treatment group and control group both are practically identical, but the difference is in the level of the uh, independent variable. Levels of independent variable is different in control group and treatment group. In control group, levels which will not cause any variation in the outcome will be maintained, and in the test group, variations due to the independent variable will be expected. A good example would be a drug trial. In drug trial, the sample or group receiving the drug would be the experimental group which receive the drug, and the one receiving the placebo or regular treatment which is not showing a different effect would be the control one. Then replicates. Why replicates are necessary and what are the replicates? In many laboratory experiments, it is good practice to have several replicate samples for the test being performed and have both a positive control and a negative control. Positive control shall be there so that the effect which is because of independent variable will be compared with the positive control. Uh, if effect similar to positive control is there, we will call it as positive, and the negative control is there. If effect similar to negative control is there, then we will call it as negative, and in between various levels of that independent variable will be there, and various effects which are outcomes of the levels of independent variable will be measured. The results from replicate samples can often be averaged, or if one of the replicates is obviously inconsistent with the result from the other sample, it can be discarded as being the result of the experimental error. These are called as outliers. Many a times we may not get results which are similar to each other. One result may vary tremendously from the rest of the results. That result can be considered as outlier and can be removed out. And the results which are similar to each other can be grouped and can be averaged, and the average effect can be told. And according to conditions, we can use mean, median, or mode to go for the averaging the result. And most often tests are done in duplicate or triplicate. More than triplicate is advisable whenever possible, but if it is resource intensive, if it's costly, then go for the duplicate or triplicate to avoid the experimental errors or experimental bias. Then positive and negative control. A positive control is a procedure similar to the actual experimental test, but is known for previous experiments to give a positive result. We have discussed that. A negative control is known to give negative result, and our outcome will be compared with the negative control. And if similarity is there, we will call it as the negative result. And the negative control demonstrates the baseline result obtained when a test does not produce a measurable positive result. We discussed that. And most often the value of negative control is treated as a background value to subtract from the test sample results. Sometimes the positive control takes the quadrant of a standard curve, and example experiment, most commonly life science students do the protein assay. In protein assay, sample is the fluid sample containing an unknown amount of protein that will be sample, and we want to measure how much protein is there in the sample. It is student's job to correctly perform a controlled experiment in which they determine the concentration of protein in the given sample or unknown sample, and their positive control is the teaching lab is equipped with a protein standard solution with a known protein concentration, standard protein concentration. Mostly albumin is used, and students could make several positive control samples containing various dilutions of the protein standard. Negative control. Negative control samples would contain all of the reagents for the protein assay but no protein. In this example, all samples are performed in duplicate. Negative controls are also performed in duplicate. Positive controls will also be performed in duplicates, and here positive controls are actually the protein concentrations used to find out the standard curve. And data collection, the assay is performed is a colorimetric assay, spectrophotometric assay, and replicates are required. Then data analysis, graph is plotted, and from the graph a standard curve will be there, and using the standard curve unknown concentration can be determined. And we are there to know more about controlled experiments. Controlled experiments can be performed when it is difficult to exactly control all the conditions in an experiment. Many conditions maintained, cannot be controlled exactly. Therefore, controlled experiments are necessary. And sampling and allocation to control and treatment groups. In this case, the experiment begins by creating two or more sample groups that are probabilistically equivalent, which means that measurements of tests should be similar among the groups, and not that the group should respond in the same manner if the given the same treatment. Each group, control group or treatment group, all groups should be matched properly. There shall not be variations in control group. The control group shall not be any different than the treatment group. If that difference is there, that difference will be responsible for the bias in the results, or that difference itself will be the confounding variable. Therefore, both the groups shall be exactly similar and shall respond in the same manner if given the same treatment. And this equivalence is determined by statistical methods that take into account the amount of variation between individuals and the number of individuals in each group. And in fields such as microbiology and chemistry, that uh, very little variation between individuals is there, and that variation is not significant, and therefore the group size and many a times those bacteria, organisms, or those molecules are easily into millions, and this therefore the statistical methods are not required in microbiology or chemistry for allocation of the experimental units or volunteer individuals which will be tested. And the groups are formed in microbiology and biochemistry. It's very simple to get the control group and to get the test groups. We can just split the solution into its different parts or equal parts, and each solution will be called as the sample, matched sample. One will be the negative control, one will be used as a positive control, and others will be used as the treatments to give different treatments. And then data collection. Once equivalent groups have been formed, the experiment tries to treat them identically except for the one variable that he or she wishes to isolate, and that variable is the independent variable. Human experimentation requires special safeguards against outside variables such as the placebo effect. Required human experimentation required many ethical permissions also, and these human experiments are generally double blind, that the person receiving the treatment and the person giving the treatment both don't know which treatment is getting administered, meaning that neither the volunteer nor the researcher knows which individuals are in the control group or the experimental group until after all the data have been collected. And this ensures that any effects on the volunteer are due to the treatment itself and are not a response to the knowledge that he is being treated, giving a special treatment. In human experiments, researchers may give a subject a stimulus that the subject responds to. That's it. And then in the design of experiments, two or more treatments are applied to estimate the difference between the mean responses for the treatment. For example, an experiment on baking bread could estimate the difference in the response associated with quantitative variable such as the ratio of water to flour, or with qualitative variables such as strength of the yeast. Experimentation is the step in the scientific method that helps people decide between two or more competing explanations or hypotheses. And this hypothesis suggests reason to explain a phenomenon or predict the results of an action. All examples might be An example might be the hypothesis that if I release this ball, it will fall to the floor. This suggestion can then be tested by carrying out the experiment of letting go the ball and observing the results. And in this session, we'll stop here. In next session, we'll again go for the design of experiments, little bit of design of experiments, and this I intend to make this design of experiments a separate session. Thank you. If you have liked the video, please click the like button, share this video with your friends, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. Thank you.